Hi, this is Sajjad, welcoming you to this video of Nuke Learning. Time nodes deal with distorting time. That is, slowing down, speeding up, or reversing clips, applying motion blur, and performing editorial operations like slips, cuts, splices, and freeze frames. Add 3.2 pull-down. 3.2 pull-down is a process of converting 24 frames per second film to 29.97 FPS interlaced video. Append clip lets you splice clips. Splicing refers to joining clips head to tail, thus allowing action to flow from one shot to the next. You have options for fading to or from black, dissolving between input clips, slipping the combined clip in time. The frame blend node interpolates frames by generating an additive composite of the frames that precede and follow it, rather than creating mere copies between the existing frames. This method creates ghosting around all fast-moving features. The results may look odd when viewed as part of a still frame, but will contribute to smoother motion during actual playback. Frame hold lets you either pick one frame and use that frame at every frame of the input clip, or use every certain number of frames of the input clip. Frame range lets you set a frame range for a clip. This controls which frames are sent to the flipbook and displayed in the viewer when the frame range source drop-down menu is set to input. Chronos. Chronos is a retimer designed to slow down or speed up footage. It works by calculating the motion in the sequence to generate motion vectors, which in turn enables you to generate an output image at any point in time throughout the sequence by interpolating along the direction of the motion. No time blur prevents nodes downstream from asking for fractional or multiple frames. You can use this node to avoid unwanted computation. For example, you may find that using time blur on all the upstream nodes in your composition can be unnecessary and very time-consuming. In these cases, you can use no time blur node to limit the number of nodes to which you're applying time blur. O-flow lets you generate high-quality retiming operations, such as slowing down or speeding up the input footage. O-flow analyzes the movement of all pixels in the frames, generates motion vectors based on the analysis, and then renders new in-between images by interpolating along the direction of the motion. You can also use O-flow to add motion blur or enhance the existing motion blur in the image. Remove 3.2 pull-down. If you're using footage that was originally film but was converted to video, you may want to use the Remove 3.2 pull-down node when importing the footage to Nuke. This allows you to convert the footage to its original state, 24 FPS non-interlaced film, before adding effects to it. Retime lets you slow down, speed up, or even reverse select frames in a clip without necessarily altering its overall length. Smart Vector. The Smart Vector node writes motion vectors to the EXR format, which are then used to drive the vector distort or vector corner pin nodes as part of the Smart Vector toolset. Temporal median. This node applies a temporal median filter to the input clip. It outputs each pixel by calculating the median of the current frame, the frame before, and the frame after. This can be useful for removing grain. Time blur. When a fast-moving subject is recorded on film or video, its edges appear to smear as a result of the object's movement, while the shutter is open. The longer the shutter remains open at each frame interval, the more obvious this effect. Time blur simulates this phenomenon by sampling its input at divisions, times, over shutter frames, starting at the current frame plus offset. Time blur is commonly applied to garbage masks that are tracked to a fast-moving feature. The time blur averages the incoming mask image over the shutter period, to better match the motion blur in the original image and creating a more convincing integration. Time clip. Just like time offset, the time clip node lets you move the clip forwards or backwards in time and reverse the order of frames in the clip. In addition to this basic functionality, you can slip a clip, set the frame range for the clip, set what happens to frames outside of this frame range, fade the clip to or from black, and set expressions to adjust the node's behavior. Time echo merges multiple frames from the input into a single frame to create an echo-like effect over time. This allows you to create streaking and smearing effects. Time offset lets you offset a clip. Offsetting a clip refers to moving it backward or forward in time. Time warp lets you slow down, speed up, or even reverse selected frames in a clip without necessarily altering its overall length. Vector generator. Vector generator produces images containing motion vector fields. In general, once you have generated a sequence of motion vector fields that describe the motion in a particular clip well, they will be suitable for use in any nodes which can take vector inputs. The output from vector generator consists of two sets of motion vectors for each frame. These are stored in the vector channels. Vector to motion converts smart vectors to motion, forward and backward channels that can be used with vector blur to create motion blur without using a vector generator. It doesn't have any controls of its own. It's a conversion tool to convert vectors to motion channels. Channel nodes. Channel nodes deal with the use of channels and layers within your composite. Typical channels are red, green, blue, and alpha. However, there are many other pieces of useful data that can be stored in unique channels. Layer is simply a collection of channels. For example, RGBA. Add channels. Adds channels to the input image. Channels that do not already exist are created and filled with the color defined by the color knob. Channel merge. The channel merge node lets you merge one channel from each input and save the result in the selected output channel. All other channels are copied unchanged from the B input. If no A input is connected, both channels to merge are taken from the B input. By default, channel merge combines the alphas. Copy replaces channels in the B input with channels from the A input. You can use a mask channel to indicate which input is used for each pixel, or whether both inputs should be mixed for some pixels. Using the mix slider, you can use this node as a dissolve. Remove removes channels from the input clip. When you are done using a layer or a channel within a set, you may wish, for the sake of clarity, to remove it so that it is no longer passed to downstream nodes. Shuffle. Nuke 12.1 introduced a new and improved shuffle node, which makes shuffle and shuffle copy obsolete. Shuffle and shuffle copy are still available for backward compatibility. Shuffle lets you rearrange up to 8 channels from a single image, rearrange channels between two separate nodes, A and B input, replace a channel with black, removing the alpha channel, or with white making the alpha solid, create new channels, and to simply copy a channel from one data stream into another. Shuffle copy. Shuffle copy lets you rearrange up to 8 channels from 2 images. For example, you can use it to combine 2 separate passes, such as the beauty pass and the reflection pass, into the same data stream, replace the alpha with black removing the alpha channel, or with white making the alpha solid, create new channels. Channels not affected by this node are taken from input 2, which is considered the main data stream. To rearrange channels in a single upstream node, shuffle, to simply copy a channel from one data stream into another.